Hey, it's Kelly. Welcome back to my channel where we talk all about how to glow from the inside out. And today I'm talking even more viral K-beauty products I don't recommend. This is actually part 3 of a ongoing viral K-beauty series. Quite honestly, you all have been loving these videos. You can check out part 1 and part 2. I talk about viral products from Dr. Althea, Biodance, VT, Medicube. Today, I'm going to be talking about Arencia as well as Anua. So if you're so ready, give the video a big thumbs up. And hey, by the way, before we get started, if you love videos just like this, don't forget to hit subscribe. All right, give the video a big thumbs up and let's get started. Let's talk about Arencia Fresh Green Rice Mochi Cleanser. Now, this is probably something you've seen all over your TikTok, your YouTube, your Instagram, whatever. It's all over it, isn't it? You've probably seen this almost, I feel like, rage bait content where influencers are just like digging their hands into this cleanser. It comes in this jar and just like showing you the like stringy mochi like texture to this and just being like super over the top, really extra, like really scooping up like just like wasteful huge amounts of this product and just playing with the texture. And this is definitely something that falls into that category of like eye-catching for content. Textures that are bouncy or stringy or mochi like, you know, people really like using really big quantities of things, like I said, rage bait, right? It makes people angry, but it makes people engaged, and that gets people's attention. Different packaging mechanisms, things that just look different. And so this definitely falls into that category of how it's catching people's eyes, catching people's attention, and then therefore becoming viral, right? So this is a actually kind of like a semi-solid type of cleanser. It comes in this jar, and it does have quite a unique, interesting, almost chewy, bouncy, mochi-like texture to it. So they actually make some interesting claims around this cleanser. They say that it can help with congested pores. It can help to address texture on the skin, as well as address blackheads. And it also makes your skincare absorb into your skin better, I guess, just by cleaning it very well. It's an interesting claim, right? And they do claim that this is really good for oily skin, folks who are suffering with acne prone skin. And they do say that it is something that gives you a really good clean without disrupting your skin barrier. Now, ingredients wise, they are using green tea extract as well as rice powder, as well as witch hazel. Now, all of these ingredients have a clarifying effect, especially for acne prone skin. They do have an anti-inflammatory effect. They can help to bring down redness. Some of these ingredients have an antibacterial effect. This is something that you wash off of your face pretty quickly, so you're not getting a lot of benefit from these types of ingredients, but they may offer some benefits. Now, the brand also says, yes, it's a cleanser, but you may also use it like a wash-off mask. So you might get a little bit more benefit if you leave it on your skin for 5-10 minutes. But again, it's going to be more on the minimal side with this one. It kind of looks like a balm cleanser when you first open it up. You dig your spatula into it, pull out the appropriate amount of cleanser, which is a lot smaller than they show you on TikTok. But you do see that this has that chewy, mochi-like texture to it. It is quite fun. It is quite pleasing to the senses, if you will. There is such a really fun skintertainment element to this. I'm not going to deny that. That can actually be something that actually drives people to even use skincare or be consistent with their products. You know how hard it is to wash your face at the end of the day, right? Well, if this is something that entertains you or brings you joy, you're gonna like look forward to that process a little bit more. You're more likely to do it on a consistent basis, even when you're tired. So I'm not knocking that at all. I just like to point out the fact that this is what makes products go viral, right? Not necessarily how well they perform, but just how cool they look. So I really actually found myself enjoying. I was like, I like this. Like, I don't want to like this, but I like this. And as you spread it onto your skin, it kind of starts to emulsify with water. It starts to break down into more of that like cleanser type of texture. It softens. It gets a little bit chewy, a little bit dewy, a little bit, I want to call it like sticky. And I don't mean like sticky, like tacky, but just that mochi, stretchy, glutinous-y type of texture to it. And it's a lot of fun. You can do this. It is fun. And I was like, I'm liking this. Actually, I don't want to, but I'm liking this. And I thought, maybe this is going to go in a video about viral products I do recommend. And then the irritation started to set in. There's something about this cleanser that really made my skin feel raw and irritated quite quickly, which was interesting because, well, I felt it was maybe a touch stripping when I washed it off of my face. Like, yeah, maybe it is a little stripping, maybe took a little bit of moisture, a little bit too much moisture from my skin. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I've definitely had cleansers that have stripped my skin a lot more immediately and a lot more obviously upon washing the cleanser off. And I just went on with my regular skincare routine, but my skin was so dry and so inflamed, itchy, and looked quite red in the middle of the day after I used this. And I was like, this does not suit my skin at all. They do recommend this for oily skin, for acne prone skin. And while I am congestion prone, my combination skin is definitely more on the sensitive side, and it can lean a lot more dry and dehydrated than it does lean oily. I do still deal with oiliness, but just overall, I'm not really in that oily skin category. And so this just didn't really suit my skin. I think probably doesn't suit my skin type. If you have a little bit more oil on your skin, it will probably be better for you. And, the ingredients that they're using here, they may have an astringent effect. I think it really just comes down to the surfactants in this cleanser. Quite honestly, it is a tiny bit stripping, and some folks do really well with that type of cleanser. Some folks do really badly with that type of cleanser, and count me in that. While they do make claims about it being respectful to your skin barrier, at the end of the day, I just found that it kind of set my skin on fire. This one irritated my skin. That doesn't mean it's going to irritate everybody's skin. But really, where my criticism with this particular product lies is in the rage bait. It's in the way that it's being marketed, the way that it's being shown in content. And now I know some folks will say, well, those are the content creators. Not necessarily, though. There are huge, widespread marketing campaigns around these K-beauty brands to get them in front of you. And oftentimes the directive for here's some free product, make us some content. Oh, by the way, in the content, can you make sure that you use a really big quantity of the product, really show that stretchy texture, really put a lot of it on your skin and pull your fingers off of your face so we can see the mochi-like texture. And in fact, if you're a big creator, we're actually going to send you special PR boxes with huge sizes so that you can really demonstrate how unique this cleanser is. It's marketing. It's marketing. There are tactics behind it, and those are the tactics. And that is what I aim to uncover and to get you to be more aware of. It's not about, is it good? Is it bad? Did it work for you? Did it not work for me? It's not necessarily about that. It's about deconstructing the hype. And so with this product, is it categorically a bad cleanser? No, it's a tiny bit stripping, and I think that it can actually start to irritate sensitive folks. So it's not going to be for everyone, where these viral products will make you think it's for everybody. It's not going to be for everybody. There's definitely some reservations here that I have with this cleanser. It's fine. It is fun, but in performance, it's fine in my personal opinion. But the hype surrounding it is completely oversized. I don't think that this, without that type of marketing campaign, I don't think a product like this would have become viral. Next up, let's talk about Anua Niacinamide 10 Tranexamic Acid for Serum. So the main ingredients are in the name here. There's 10% of niacinamide as well as 4% of tranexamic acid. And this is a product that aims to not just brighten up your skin with the niacinamide and tranexamic acid, but also help to address texture and pores. I do find what's been trending over the last few years is really people being incredibly obsessed with targeting pores. And I totally get it, because mine get really stretched out and cloggy and gunky and just gross looking. So I get it. But I have noticed that there has been a huge uptick in products that claim to help address pore size, pore texture, pore quality, right? And really kind of playing into the obsession with pores. And there really is only so much that we can do with our pores. And really when it comes down to it, it's really about cleaning them out and just helping to tighten up that skin. But they don't they're not muscles. They don't open and close. And there's, like I said, there's only so much that we can do about them. And you can clean them out and you can tighten them up, but at the end of the day, they will fill back up again. So you do need to be consistent with your products. All that being said, though, 10% of niacinamide really is the right amount of niacinamide in my personal experience for this type of issue. It can be a little bit exfoliating. It can kind of help to clean out some of the congestion. It really does help to target texture on the skin. And 10% of niacinamide, about 4 to 5% and then upwards actually helps to stimulate collagen. And that is, I say this a lot when I talk about targeting your pores, right? It's not just about cleaning them out, but it's about tightening up that pore lining by stimulating collagen within the skin. And this is the step that most folks miss. They blast their skin with the salicylic acid or with the retinols or whatever to clean out the pores. But then once the pores are clean, they're still kind of stretched out and kind of like saggy looking, right? And the way to address saggy pores is to stimulate collagen, because that strengthens up that collagen structure within the skin, and then the pores appear smaller, right? Think about saggy skin, think about saggy pores. We stimulate collagen, things firm up, right? And so that's how you address those really enlarged looking pores, clean them out and then tighten them up. So this is actually an ingredient that can kind of do all of that. And oftentimes folks that are suffering with enlarged pores, not always, but oftentimes it is due to an excessive amount of oil on the skin. Sebum is just being produced like out of control. And niacinamide has an oil controlling property to it too. So I'm not mad at this percentage. 10%, very good for these specific concerns. Now the tranexamic acid, this is kind of like, this gives the product the edge, right? Because you go, oh, 10% of niacinamide, been there, done that. So 2018, am I wrong, right? The Ordinary really blew up with their 10% niacinamide serum. So how are we going to make our product look different? Well, then we add in the tranexamic acid, 4% of that helps to boost out that brightening benefit. Now, there has been some questions around the effectiveness of the brightening of tranexamic acid. I'm not qualified to dig into that. I'm not even going to touch it, but I am just going to mention that, niacinamide, well-known brightener for the skin. Only in about 2% do you need niacinamide to show a really nice brightening effect on the skin, right? So we have a lot of niacinamide in here. You're going to get a brightening effect no matter what. The tranexamic acid here, is it working to boost more brightening or not? We don't quite know. The thing with these types of serums, especially the ones that really say, hey, these are the star ingredients, you often have to look a little bit deeper, because there's often a much richer story being told with the additional ingredients that aren't getting the marketing hype, right? So as you look further into the ingredients, you're going to notice that they're also using arbutin, alpha arbutin, as well as 3-O-ethyl ascorbic acid. Now, all three of these are potent brightening ingredients for the skin. They just aren't the most recognizable by name, and the ones that have the most hype around them, like tranexamic acid has had in the last couple of years. So again, we're kind of deconstructing some of that marketing, deconstructing why some of these things might have gotten really hyped and popular or stood out in viral content. And it really is due to, I think, the tranexamic acid in here. That feels like it gave it a little bit more of an edge that other niacinamide focused products don't have. And while arbutin is actually an amazing brightening ingredient for the skin, and it is starting to get more popularity, it still just doesn't have as much of the marketing cachet that tranexamic acid has. For whatever reason, it just doesn't. 3-O-ethyl ascorbic acid doesn't have a sexy name. Nobody even wants to be pronouncing that, right? So oftentimes the marketing will say it has vitamin C, because this is a derivative of vitamin C. It's a stabilized form of ascorbic acid. So there is a brightening effect in here and an antioxidant effect happening here in the ingredients. But like I said, we got to go deeper than just the star ingredients. We have to kind of pull it all together. This is definitely something that is looking to target pores, but also helping to brighten the skin. But holy moly, is this texture so inelegant and really sticky. I was very surprised. You know what? Let me walk that back just a little bit. I was surprised on one hand and also not surprised on the other. I was surprised that it was so sticky and it had such a tacky texture to it for a product that has been viral for Over a year now at this point, right? This is definitely a product that has gotten a lot of hype and a lot of people claiming it to be their holy grail. Anua itself has had a lot of shady marketing tactics, as I've talked about in previous videos, that they really do have a lot of what I call manufactured hype behind the brand. They have done so much work behind the scenes and a lot of push for like micro content creators, especially on TikTok. They have done a lot of things that are in gray ethical areas that have been successful for them, that have paid off. They have a lot of name recognition. They are a huge brand now because of what they have done with the marketing. And that doesn't mean that they have bad products. I actually like some products from this brand, but I am highly skeptical of the brand. That being said, though, I was surprised by the texture just because of the hype, right? I was like, I'm so surprised so many people say that they love this when it's just kind of inelegant and sticky. On the other hand, where I'm not surprised, 10% of niacinamide is not a very elegant ingredient. In lower percentages, it has more elegance to it. But as you get into higher percentages, it starts to get sticky. It starts to get tacky. It has this weird thickness to it. It's actually quite powdery as well. So you'll notice a lot of that white crusty buildup on your serum bottles. That tends to become a little bit more apparent in the higher percentages of niacinamide. It's not the most elegant percentage. I was and wasn't surprised at the same time. I was like, classic, like crappy niacinamide 10% formula. This is totally what The Ordinary has. If you're around in the skincare world in the 2018, 2019 era, that was always the biggest the thing happening then was the 10% niacinamide serum from The Ordinary, and people saying like, oh my gosh, I love it. And this was a way more affordable product. It was like $8, right? And so it was great for people on a budget, and you can kind of overlook it when the price is so low. But when you're like pushing 20, some dollars for a serum and it's this sticky and it's the same kind of inelegant texture as something that costs a fraction of it, yeah, I'm going to be a little bit more like, I don't really love this, right? So a really sticky texture. It looks lightweight, gel-like texture. Looks like it's going to be very hydrating. It spreads pretty nicely, but it's kind of one of those serums that like it feels good at first, and then as you're spreading it and as it's absorbing, it starts to change under your fingers and it gets thicker and it gets stickier and it gets weirder. And then it just never fully absorbs. It just feels like kind of tacky on top of your skin, and it's like half absorbed and half not, like just kind of sitting on top. I really don't like the texture. It's almost gummy like at the surface. And this is one of those ones where it's like, yeah, you put your moisturizer on top of it and it kind of gets better, but it wasn't as immediate, like, oh yeah, it's a lot better. It was like, and now everything else just feels like it's not sitting quite right on my skin anymore. The reviews from real people, real consumers, a lot of the reviews do reflect that. Now, not everybody's going to be bothered by this texture, of course not, but a lot of the reviews do reflect that. It's just that the hype doesn't reflect that because, like I said, there is such a huge marketing campaign behind this brand and these products. You're not allowed really to say, oh, it's sticky. You're not really allowed to say that. You say, oh my gosh, it brightened my skin, it blah, 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 whatever. And at the end of the day, I was even trying it on some hyperpigmentation that I have on my hand, and I just didn't really feel like I saw a lot of improvement when using this serum. Like, it's just okay, but it's also inelegant and tacky and sticky. And again, it is from a brand that is notorious for shady marketing tactics. So I'm not actually surprised to find out that it's kind of mid. Now let's talk about Arencia Holy Hyssop Serum 30. Now this is one of the Arencia serums that is in the jar packaging, as I was telling you about earlier. And these definitely do look quite interesting as you open them up. Most of them have this really aesthetically pleasing gel-like texture. You kind of just want to like dive into it. Doesn't it look so refreshing and cooling? And yeah, most definitely it looks beautiful. There's definitely some questions about like, should you be putting serums in jars? And you can formulate serums to be opened up in wide mouth jars like this, even, to resist the bacteria from our fingers as we dig our fingers, because a lot of people are just going to put their fingers in here and not necessarily use a spatula, right? It can be formulated to be properly packaged like this. There's always some concerns about ingredient efficacy in the long run, though, when it's being exported exposed to so much air. I think that those are definitely valid concerns to have. But I think the biggest one that people talk about is like dipping your fingers in, and preservatives can definitely ward off that type of bacteria. But yeah, maybe, you know, long-term use, the serums becomes a little less potent over time, depending on how long you have this open. Those are definitely concerns for this type of packaging. But does it look cool in content? I mean, yeah, it definitely looks really compelling than say this was in a dropper bottle. So they're using Hyssop, which is an interesting extract. You definitely doesn't have as much name recognition. So, you know, there are two ways to do this, right? We go in for the ingredients that have a lot of name recognition with an average consumer and go, hey, I know what that is. Or you lead with something that's a little bit different. Maybe you've never heard of it before. And then you go, ooh, what is this new interesting ingredient, right? So that can also pay off for brands as well. So Hyssop is actually known to contain high quantities of vitamin A, C, and E. And it is used for like brightening the skin. And so they are using Hyssop, but they are definitely bulking that out. Like I said, look at the rest of the ingredients, see where the story is coming from here. They're using niacinamide, 3-ethyl ascorbic acid as well as ascorbyl glucoside. So they are using niacinamide plus 3 forms of vitamin C plus the Hyssop. So what do you think is, you know, at play here? It's probably these vitamin C ingredients rather than the extract that's known to have high quantities of natural vitamin C, right? So it is a product that is meant to brighten up your skin. And this one, I'm not really mad at it. I just don't think it really does much. I do have some areas where I would like to see some brightening. I have some hyperpigmentation from pimples right now, but generally speaking, my skin overall is pretty optimized. It's pretty bright. It's pretty even toned and all of that, right? So I do like to make that very clear when I talk about brightening products, because I'm kind of like exactly where I want to be. But I do mention I do have some fresh hyperpigmentation that I am fading right now, and I just didn't really notice a big difference using this. I like the texture. It is, like I said, I'm not going to open it up again on camera. It looks cool, right? But it feels very refreshing. It has this really nice gel texture. It glides on the skin really nicely. It absorbs in pretty quickly. And it's really not sticky or tacky at all. It feels really lightweight, cooling, refreshing. It feels good. Like it feels good on. I just don't feel like it does much for your skin. It's just kind of like a type of product that I just don't really feel like it shows a lot of results, but it is nice. I did also want to mention the Arencia Deep Water Surge Overnight Serum. I feel kind of similarly to the Hyssop serum as I do to the Deep Surge Overnight Serum. It just looks cool. Don't you just want to like take a swim in this this deep blue gel like waters? And this is something that is more for hydrating the skin, plumping the skin. It doesn't have as many major claims around like brightening. They do say that this has PDRN in it, which is the ingredient of the year, right, in K-beauty. And I do like PDRN products. I know those are also controversial. I don't feel like the PDRN effect that I've seen in other products is really at play here. They are using a lot of hyaluronic acid. I think 8 different forms of hyaluronic acid in here. They're using panthenol. There are some peptides in here and some ceramide NP, but at the end of the day, it's really just kind of like a hydrating type of product. It's a little bit plumping due to the texture, but I don't think that those actives are really doing much in this product at the end of the day. It's just nice. It's just nice. Like both of these, I feel like they're just nice. They didn't irritate my skin. They didn't make my skin feel itchy or red or anything. They just didn't do anything besides feel like a cooling gel on my skin. And you can get that with a lot of other products. You can get those with a lot of other products that actually do other things for your skin than just cool and refresh it and plump it as well. And so, yeah, I just wasn't overall impressed by these products that I tried from this brand in general. And I really feel like they're getting the hype and the attention, yes, due to a marketing push, but also just the way that they look is intriguing. I will admit I was pulled in by the Mochi cleanser. I was pulled in by these jar serums because they look beautiful. They look compelling. They drew me in too. But performance wise, you know, a big meh. So I hope you enjoyed that installment of viral K-beauty products I don't recommend. And if there's a viral product you're wondering, does Kelly recommend it? Does she not recommend it? Let me know your request in the comments. And if you've tried any of these products, of course, let me know your opinions as well. If you love this video and you want to see more content from me, don't forget to hit subscribe and come join our skincare community. I love you so much. Thanks for being here with me today. And I just want to encourage you to keep shining your light. I can't wait to see you in the next video. Bye.